into a new winter, Coats and Culture. You are now listening to part 2 of A Fool's Mission.
That's when the real panic rose and people started running off. "No," I screamed out. "Don't be afraid, we must fight it. We must..." But I got knocked off my chair. The wind was taken out of me, and it took me a while to get back up. As I did so, I could see there was true chaos around me. I had to find the girl, I thought. I looked up to see her standing in front of me, a stern look across her face. "We must go," she said, and put her hand out. I grabbed it, just in time to see an oily black blur in front of my face, where a tentacle had shot past between us. I grabbed my sword and managed to get a quick swing in, but I only managed to slightly nip it as it swung wildly above our heads. To be honest, I doubt the creature even felt it. "Pull back to the boats!" I heard Deladriel shouting from the crowd, running towards the back doors to escape. I turned back around in time to see the creature rip a man into two, and toss him aside like it was nothing. A couple of drunk men made a stand, but they were all that was between us and the monster right now. We had to get out of here. The door at the end was slightly crowded. I didn't care much to get stuck in the back of that. I grabbed the girl and we ran over to a side door that led to the kitchen. People were still cooking and preparing food. The noise it created making them oblivious to what was going on in the very next room. I ran straight through them. They'd have to find out for themselves. And we made it out. The sun had broken through and fortunately it was light enough to guide the way. I saw a ladder in front of us leading up to the top of the wall that surrounded this castle. I pushed the girl up, and as I took my first step, a cacophony of screams came from inside the castle. It seems as though the crowd inside hadn't quite dispersed in time. As we got to the top, I heard a shout from below. "Cow!" I looked down and saw the ginger lad, the one who was creeping me out before. He was clutching at his stomach. Looked in awful shape. He was sweating, crazied. "Cow, please, I..." Then I heard a crunching noise, and his head split apart like a flower blooming, and in the middle was a dark purple growth of some sort. It looked like a tongue lashing out, tasting the air. The girl screamed in terror. "Just go!" I shouted, and pulled up the ladder. We ran along the wall and looked out to see the fleet of boats we sailed in on. Why was no one on them yet? As we ran further along the wall, we could see that the main door had been closed off. The wooden bar locking it had been nailed onto the door, and people were desperately trying to pull it off to escape. Further along, we could see 3 of the creatures coming, and surrounding them now, a darkness, a blackness I'd never seen before. They seemed enveloped in it, almost swimming within it rather than walking. Masses of people at the door now noticed them and were clawing over one another to get away. Those at the door itself were being crushed. Some had collapsed, others screaming in pain. I ran back to where we came up cautiously and saw another ladder a little further away, completely isolated. The screams were louder now. I rushed to the furthest ladder and put it on the outside of the castle. This would be our exit. I collected the nearest ladder and brought it nearby. I looked down as the dark creatures began horrifically killing the huge numbers of people trapped by the door. Some were now dispersed, trying to find another way. Then a group noticed the ladder. "Up here!" I shouted and beckoned them over. "Quick, we must go," I said to the girl, and motioned her to go down the exterior of the wall towards the safety of the boats. She went down and I followed closely. We were running towards the boats when I saw people start to climb down the ladder. It had become chaos. People were jumping off the wall now, strange shapes and parts of monsters rising up behind them. The doors were thrown open in an almighty crash. One of the creatures just stood there, looking at us, surrounded by the piles of dead bodies torn apart. There couldn't have been many of us left now. I was almost frozen in fear. "Keep running," I said. "Go to one of the boats docked near the back. It'll be easier to leave." "Look," she shouted and pointed to one of the boats. There were men on board. The ship was moving. "Quick, get on that boat now!" I shouted and pushed her along. As I looked back, the darkness was spreading. The creatures moving at some pace now, trying to stop our escape. Some of the others behind us noticed the boat as well. I was hoping there'll be fodder to our pursuers and keep them occupied while we escaped. "We're not going to make it," the girl said. And she was right. The boat was quite far out now. We'd probably even have to swim now to reach it. I picked up the girl under my arm and made a sprint for it. "Wait!" I shouted at whomever was on the boat. But still, it kept going. I took a quick look back to see that those behind us were getting torn apart by monstrous beams on our tail. The wind had picked up now, causing the boat to move at an even faster pace. But this might be a good thing. I glanced around for something, anything that could help, and I noticed one of the small sailboats used to ferry smaller parties ashore, hidden beside one of the larger warships, and pushed it out before I could climb aboard. As quickly as I could, I let down the sail, grabbed hold of the oars, and got us moving. It'd be tricky trying to negotiate the much larger boats that had dropped anchor, but at this point, it was our only hope. The creatures had now slaughtered everyone that was behind us and had made a beeline for our tiny boat. With such bloated creatures, they did move at some pace. "Hurry," the girl whimpered, trembling in fear. I wasn't sure if she was saying it to me, herself, or even perhaps them. As the creatures touched the water, they walked in as far as they could and just stood there, staring at us unmoving. I'm guessing they couldn't swim, or didn't want to try. I dropped the oars and took a brief respite. Despite all odds, we'd made it. I took a few deep breaths and looked again to shore. And there they were, the dark creatures just staring out at us, watching, waiting. The disturbing sight made me pick up the oars again to move as quickly as possible out of their sight. I noticed the ship that we'd been trying to catch up to had dropped anchor a little further out to sea. We slowly caught up, and as we approached, a voice called out from the ship. "Who goes there?" "It's Cal and the girl." A few moments passed until a tiny head popped up at the front of the ship. It was Demadiel, waving at us. "Cal, I knew you'd make it. Come aboard, have a drink." He seemed mighty jovial for someone whose army had just nearly been wiped out in mere minutes. A rope was thrown down. I attached the sailboat to the ship and then told the girl to throw her arms around my neck as I climbed up the rope. Once we were on board, the king threw his arms around me and held me tight. "I knew you'd make it, brother. I told the others to wait here for any survivors, and I just knew you'd be one of them." I forced a smile. "What happened?" I looked around the deck. There were about 15 or so men left standing here, and I could see what they were looking at. The girl stood behind me, not quite hiding, but making it clear that she was uncomfortable with these men. "Is this all that's left?" I asked. "Well, you tell me, Cal. Should we expect more to come?" "No," I said plainly. Cal nodded. "Then yes, this is it. We'll have to retreat south and gather up more forces. We'll then send a small party out to search the castle, but I presume it is lost to those things. Let's pull up anchor, men, and let's go home. The war will have to wait a little longer. Cal, you and your friend come with me. There are a few things we must discuss." We followed Demadiel through to the captain's quarters, and I took a seat. I almost collapsed in my chair, in fact. I was tired beyond belief. "Drink?" the king offered up. I smirked and held my hand up. "No, thank you." "Cal, I have to be truthful with you, as I know you are truthful with me, and I fear we all need to look after one another if we are to survive this journey." "Survive? What do you mean?" "The men that are here on our ship, I fear, are not all our own." "What do you mean?" I asked. During the escape, it was all so confusing, but I saw some of these men coming off the boat as we were approaching. "Okay," I shrugged. "Why were they not with us, celebrating?" "Perhaps they were working. cleaning the ship, I don't know, moving supplies. Yes, or perhaps they were working for the enemy or stealing our supplies. How do I know that they are truly loyal? Well, you don't. But you could say that about anyone. Cal, there are just some things you truly don't understand. In any case, I want you near me at all times. Who knows when they're going to turn against their king? I couldn't help but feel that perhaps our encounter with the demons had perhaps had more of an effect on my king than I could have ever imagined. You are my king, I said, and I gladly serve. Good. There is one more thing. The girl. I turned around to see her sitting there quietly, just watching us. What about her? I asked. Well, I'm afraid we must give her to the men. Before I could even begin speaking, she stood up and started shouting. I will not be tossed around your men like some kind of plaything. I will gladly rip off any part of any man that dares come near me. She's to stay with me and remain unharmed, I said softly and with a steely glare. Don't talk about me like I'm not here, she said. I don't need a protector. I don't need anyone, let alone you idiots. Drop me off on the shore and I'll make my own way. The king completely ignored her. But if we are to survive, we must keep the men happy, distracted. The girl, I interrupted, stays with me. And then turned to her. If she so wishes it. She seemed rather taken aback by the last statement before giving a definitive nod. The king glowered at me. I could see an anger bubbling inside him, but I did not care. We went back a long way, but he knew that I would not budge. Fine, he said. She stays with you. Just keep her out of the way, and preferably in something less feminine. And with that, he stormed out. Well, he's right, I said. For your own sake. We should dress you in something where you can actually, move. There's no more castles now, no more damsels in distress and knights in shining armour. You're with me now. And I don't care if you're a girl or a boy, you must be at your most efficient. I went through some of the captain's things in the drawers. There was enough here to make an outfit, albeit a baggy one. An unflattering white shirt, brown trousers that looked like they might fall apart at any second, and some boots that I tied some string around to help fit. I'm going to cut your hair as well, I said. Put your head against the table. Without even muttering a single word, she did so. I drew out a small knife I kept in my back pocket, and in one swift movement was able to cut off the majority of her long locks. She now looked like a boy with a pretty face, and hopefully this would be a little less arousing for the men, though I was doubtful. Usually young pretty boys on board would receive the same fate. Now listen, girl. I know you have a lot of fight in you, and that's good. But I want you to stick near me at all times. And I'm not talking about just on the ship with the crew. I mean until this whole mess is over and we can see you somewhere safe. The girl nodded. The king opened the door back up and looked quite amazed at the girl's transformation. That's better, he said. You're one of the guys now, eh? He laughed. The girl pulled a sarcastic smile back. What's the plan? I asked. Well, we're going to head a little further south, sticking near the coast until there's a good distance between us and that hell that we just witnessed. I imagine another day and then we can go to land and fetch some supplies for the journey. Food and water is dangerously low at the moment, so it won't last us for much longer, well, if we can't replenish soon. If it's okay with you, my king, I would suggest myself and the girl spend the night here, away from the men. And I would welcome the rest, to be honest. I mean, it would also mean that if anyone was to come assassinate you, say, they'd find me instead. Good point. I'll take the room next door. Rest up, and we'll speak in the morning. With that, the king left, and I proceeded to take off what I was wearing. You may wish to turn away, girl, I warned. I joked it was for her sake. But also I was very much aware that my body was badly scarred and burned through a lifetime of fighting. It didn't bother me too much, but I have seen many a woman's face as they gaze upon my disfigured body, and, well, something I didn't want this girl to endure. How do you know him? You speak to him as if you're brothers, not as king and servant. I laughed. I won't go as far as say I'm his servant, but I fought alongside him for many years. We saw a lot together. Killed a lot of people. But he has a lust for power that I don't have. He enjoys the political mind games. I just like to use my sword. So we set about, well, conquering the world, I guess. One castle at a time. Why? She asked. Well, because it's there, I answered. I climbed into the bed in the corner of the room. You can turn back round now, I sighed. Where am I supposed to go? She asked. I don't know. I don't care. You're a strong, independent woman. You figure it out. I'm exhausted, and I'm going to get an early night. Wherever you decide, I'll help you get there, all right? How honourable of me, eh? Now, leave me the fuck alone. And just then, a scream rang out from somewhere on the boat. We both looked at one another. Oh yeah, I said. No way, I'm coming with you, she exclaimed. I was too busy trying to get dressed again. Fine, I muttered, see if I care. We stomped out and saw the crew huddled together, staring down at something. The king walked between us. What's going on here? He shouted needlessly. He pushed the men out of the way to reveal the bottom half of a body, bleeding out over the deck. Where's the rest of him? The king asked. People shrugged. He turned to me, and I shrugged too. Don't look at me, I only just got here. Just then, there was a snap from behind me. I saw the others look past me, shock in their eyes, and a couple of them began to run to the other side of the ship. Cal, the king slowly spoke. Another snap and then a crunch. The girl clung to my shirt. I slowly turned round and looked up towards where the wheel was. And then, there, in the shadows, was a creature. Dark, black, oily, like those that chased us. But like a helpless doll ripped from limb to limb was attached to man. His head flopping from the creature's arms. His leg limply hanging in the air from the creature's cheek. And there was the top half of the man, being chewed on like a turkey leg. It's as if it has broken free from within the man himself. Like he exploded and the parts are still attached to him. Can't let them go. I couldn't help but feel fascinated by it. I wasn't even scared. There was something familiar about it, something strangely comforting in its darkness. I started walking towards it. Just wanted to get a little bit closer. Cal, the girl screamed. What are you doing? She pulled at me, which shook me out of my daze. I looked back at her. She looked terrified. I drew my sword. Don't worry, I said. I'll end this. I slowly walked up and approached the monster. It hadn't noticed me. That, or it just didn't care. In one fell swoop, I managed to cut through it. It let out a scream and lashed out, but I was able to swing another and cut it again, and again, until it was chunks of black slop laying on the floor. I swung my head back and breathed in the night sea air. What's that then? I looked down and saw the other men staring back up at me in wonder. He was fine, one spoke. He was fine, and then all of a sudden he just exploded from within, like that black thing was just growing inside him or something. Before that, he was just Arthur. Could have been any of us, spoke another. It could be waiting any moment inside us just to attack. We don't know who's who. That's right, the king spoke. We don't even know who was already on the boat. King turned, looking suspiciously at everyone. You could all be one of them. Could be spreading. That's it, said one of the younger crewmen. I'm getting off. You can't, said the king. Fuck your orders, I'm off. No, it's not that. The creatures are on the shore. They're just waiting for us. Whatever, the boy said, and climbed down. Listen, the king pleaded. You swim back to shore, you'll die. They'll kill you. The boy pushed past and clambered down the ship. I'm taking this boat, the boy shouted up, as he managed to climb down on the boat that we had approached the ship with. Whoa, wait. That's our boat. I started to argue, but the king held me back. Just let him go, he said. And with that, we watched him quietly untie the boat, pick up the oars, and start heading to shore. None of us spoke a word. We were all expecting him to be attacked any second. All you could hear was the gentle rowing into the darkness until he disappeared. We all looked at one another. Maybe we should go to shore then. We've got the one boat left. We can take turns, said one of the crew. You'll never come back, said another. We'll be stranded. God knows who else will turn into one of those. Or when. I think she should just, I don't know, take this ship and run it into the shore. Just jump off and a scream pierced the sky. It was coming from the shore. Well, I said, guess you didn't do so well, eh? Sat down on the floor and stretched out my arms. I just need some sleep. I yawned. Why don't we all just stay within sight of one another? You guys sort it out. I'm going to get some kip. I laid down and I realised I hadn't seen the girl. Hold on, where is she? Stood up. Where is she? I said to the others. They all looked at one another and shrugged. I ran to the crew's quarters and saw her being dragged across the floor by 3 men. She was unconscious. They stopped and looked up at me. Fuck, I heard one of them mutter. They realised they were trapped and foolishly brought out their swords. I ran at them and without a second thought cut off the head of one. Guarded one of the other's attacks before plunging my sword in his stomach. I pulled it out, ducked and kicked the last one in the balls. He fell to his knees while I swiftly thrust my sword through his mouth and down his throat as far as I could. I took a deep breath and checked on the girl. She was fine. Nothing had happened to her. I was relieved, to say the least. I couldn't let something like this happen again. I just couldn't. After a minute, she came to and I stood her up. What happened? She asked. You got jumped. You're fine. We're getting out of here. Fuck this ship. As I came back out, I saw something I hadn't quite expected. About 4 bodies lay in a heap on the floor. Another 4 were standing up over them, but they weren't human. They were the creatures. The horrid, oily creatures standing completely still, like a dog guilty for the mess they've just made. I also noticed the pure silence. There was no wind, no waves, complete stillness. Cow, a voice said from the corner of the ship. It was my king. Cow, you have to help me. You can't let them kill me. You can't let them kill your king, not after everything we've been through. Give them the girl. Tell them we'll give them the girl. It'll work like last time. How dare you? The girl pointed at the king. We should give them you instead. Look at you. Nothing but a coward. The king ignored her and stared at me. I knew what he was thinking. I knew what he wanted. He nodded. Do it, he said. I looked at the girl. She stared back at me. I saw her ferocity turn to fear as she stared into my eyes. That's because she saw something within me. I know she did. I grabbed my sword, turned to the king, and as he realised what was about to happen, cut off his head. He fell like a sack of potatoes, his head rolling off into the sea. Not again, I mumbled. Took a breath. Get in the boat. Keep sailing south. Once morning hits, aim for the shore. The creatures won't follow you. Why not? Cal, what's happening? You're not what they want. We're not interested in the likes of you anymore. We were here before. The king and I. We'd made a pact with some people a long time ago. My wife and child were, well, I offered them. I put the bigger picture first, you see. At least, what I thought was the bigger picture. In return, I was given power. Power to help my king rule the lands, but for what? I'm but a mere prop, but one that is no longer fleeting. I chose my fate, and so should you choose yours. I cannot choose another's no more. Now go. The girl, she muttered something, but I wasn't listening. I walked up to the creatures. I walked past them. I felt a slight wind blow, and I drew up the sails. Where had the girl gone? Did it matter anymore? Was she safe? Did I want her safe? I saw a shadow across the sea, a sobbing that followed, one I could not hear but one I felt sailing on the breeze. I turned the ship round, and I directed it back from whence we came. Through the ships we sailed, pushing them to one side as we ploughed through. I got off. More creatures swarmed around me, still, quiet, slow. I made my way back to the castle, back through the now abandoned dining hall, back through the courtyard, and down into the cellar where my family waited for me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed A Fool's Mission. Please go to patreon.com/innuwinter to sign up to exclusive content and see how you can support the show. We're on Instagram and Twitter @innuwinter, and you can email us on innuwinterpodcast@gmail.com. If you enjoy this show, make sure you leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Thank you for listening.